Okay, sorry I'm a little late on these videos, but hopefully this gives you a little bit of an introduction and explanation of what you're supposed to do this week. Um, this week, we're talking all about the controller layer. The controller layer is the layer that's going to handle all of the logic in your video games. So you have the model layer. The model layer is just pretty much all of the objects themselves. The controller layer is how all the objects relate to one another, how they interact. In my incredibly simple zombie example, I'll show you what that means. So you can see here's my really simple model. The player has a location, the map has a location, or a bunch of locations. The location has a zombie or an item or both, right? And that's literally all that my example is. So you're gonna have a little bit more, but maybe not much. So let's create a new class, and we'll call it. Let's call it conflict controller. No, not conflict. We'll just call it battle. Why not? Call it battle controller. And so this controller is going to be what happens when a player lands on a location that contains a zombie. And so in a controller, you won't have any fields, but you'll have a bunch of methods. So let's have a new method called player attack, and that'll apply the damage that the player has to the zombie, depending on whether they have an item or not, and it'll do the random roll and whatever I want it to do. And then we'll have another attribute. Sorry, not attribute. We'll add another operation. That's zombie attack, and maybe those are the only two methods we need. And then we'll also need to make sure that we have the usage relationship. So this uses a player, and it uses a zombie. And then let's say we have another controller that will be the movement controller. That'll determine how a player gets to a location. And then it'll determine whether it needs to call the battle controller or anything else. So it'll have methods like move player to location. It'll have methods like acquire item, or I named that wrong. I need to have the A lowercase. It'll have methods like begin battle. And then we have to say, okay, this is going to use the location class. It's going to use the player class. It's probably going to use the item class, and it'll also probably use the zombie class. So maybe I can move that to a more separate location. So you're going to basically be going back to your UML diagram, adding all of the controller classes that you think you'll be needing. Again, it won't be perfect. I'm fine with that. I'll probably add methods here. I'll probably add methods here. I'll probably add another controller class. But just what you think you'll need will help you a ton as you go to build it. So part one of this week's assignment, get with your partner and add at least one controller, or add all of the controllers, or at least one. I'm not exactly sure. I'll double check and then comment on that. Yeah, double checked. You're doing all of them as a team, all of the controller classes. There shouldn't be a ton. Anytime your functional requirement document has some sort of verb in it, like movement or collecting items, or purchasing an item and a quantity of that item, for the Hurricane game, that would be a controller. Um, the same goes with everyone's going to have movement, so you're likely always all have a movement controller. The superhero game, there'll be a battle controller as well that'll handle the turns and how the damage is applied. The other game, the Quest for the Mystic Orb, some examples of controllers there would be um, movement controller for sure again, and then maybe a puzzle controller for some of the puzzles that the player will encounter. A controller maybe for each of those puzzles. So if you have any questions, again, let me know. I'll be online tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday night. Please don't hesitate to email me or jump online and see if I'm online. So part 1, hope that clarifies things. I'll be adding videos for part 2 and part 3 as well.